Come in a bit.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we test that it's all working?
I'll bring it closer to me and then you come even closer.
I'm on your what appears to be some kind of exercise mat.
It's a yoga mat.
A yoga mat. Do you actually use it?
You've
or,
folded it.
What?
Lift it up and
What am I like?
I'll just move it. There we go. It folds up, you see.
Nice, yeah.
Right.
Bit flash.
It's a bit flash. The Nodwell house with his yoga mat.
Yeah.
Welcome once again to the Great Owl Running podcast. My name is Adam and I run Great Owl Running, a race organiser, YouTube channel and now a podcast. In this podcast we see the return of Dave Middlemas. You might notice a bit of flapjack muffled vocals at the very start. We started the podcast with a cup of tea and some of Dave's homemade flapjack. Sorry about that, it doesn't last that long, but it was very good flapjack. The podcast is a preview of the fell races we're familiar with between the months of April and June. We don't cover every fell race, but have compiled a list of around 30 to 35 races on the calendar. If you look at the Fell Runner website, you'll soon see that there are well over 100 on that list. If you're listening to this, please don't forget to follow it wherever you're listening from, so make sure you never miss a future episode. So, without further ado, let's go further. Right, so welcome to this is our second
podcast.
Our second little podcast about the
Well,
fell running
your
races.
third actually, because you
It is
did one
my
with
third.
Alice as well.
I did.
Yeah.
I did one with Alice Kershaw. My plan, I think I was full planning to have this as probably like number 5 or 6, but I haven't got my arse in gear and done any more podcasts.
Oh, really?
And I think the big reason was that because I was trying to mix the video with the audio. So I've decided from now on, this is going to be an audio-only podcast because it needs to be snappy for me to turn around and get back up and stuff. So without the video, it'll be a lot easier. I don't think it's not really designed to be watched.
I mean, I've got a good face for radio,
Yeah.
as they say. So you know,
And I get on there and I get on the YouTube enough anyway.
yeah. Well, we were just saying in the preamble, weren't we, that you did a video the other day where you didn't really appear in it.
Yeah, and it's done really well. I was really pleasantly surprised. It's like one of them's got over 1,000 views already.
Really?
Which is, yeah, which I mean, I've got race videos from a few years ago that haven't hit 1,000 yet.
Really?
So I'm quite happy about that.
Great.
Because I was thinking, like, I did actually turn it around really quickly because I knew that I thought, it's worth about 300 views or something like that. And I don't want to be too precious about it because I know that what people want to see is people running down a hill.
Yeah.
They don't want to see flashy editing. They don't want to see flashy graphics or anything.
Yeah.
And actually, like, I've got so much on my plate at the moment. I've got a race this weekend and things like that. So I think that sometimes you've got to turn them around, and it's time sensitive as well. Those people people who run the race want to see the footage of them running down the hill
within a few days.
Yeah, and I managed to get it up within about 3 days, which I was really happy.
We're now we're going to come onto it now.
Yeah.
We're in the time of year where races come thick and fast.
Yeah,
So
especially.
if you've done Coaldale Horseshoe, you might have been onto something else by within a week. So.
And you might want to listen to this podcast and find out which races you should be doing.
Absolutely, of course.
So let's start with Rivington Pike.
Rivington Pike, shall we start with
On
that?
the 8th of April.
Yeah, Saturday. Have you ever done it?
No, I haven't.
It's a bit of a classic.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, it's like the classic short fell race in Lancashire, really.
Okay.
It's been going for donkey's years. I mean, what's good about it is that it's a race that anyone can do, really. I mean, it is a fell race, but it's not a sort of technical fell race. At the peak of Rivington Pike is a famous tower which you run towards. I mean, the race starts in a town centre. It's one of the few fell races that actually starts right in the middle of a town centre. That's Horwich.
Oh, wow.
You sign
Where is Horwich? Lancashire?
Bolton.
Ah.
So when you're driving there from here, you drive past the Bolton football ground. You know, the really spectacular one.
The Reebok Stadium.
Well, it used to be Reebok. It's something else now. And then you just drive a few more miles past that. And so, yeah, you sign up in the pub. Everyone's in the pub watching the footy. You sign up, and the first bit is along quite a main road, which they close off for the purposes of the race.
Oh, what, big race then, maybe?
So it's 300 or 400 runners.
Okay.
Because it's not a technical race and it's quite a short race, a lot of people who wouldn't normally do fell races do Rivington Pike. And what's quite nice is that, because it's like on a main and residential road, people they close the road, people put trestle tables out on the side and kind of make it a bit of a thing in the afternoon. So you run half a mile along there, flat, along the road, you think, oh, am I in a fell race? But then you start going up to the top, and it's probably about a 10-15 minute run to the top. And it is, it's quite well known locally, so there's a lot of people out.
Yeah.
And it's a there and back route, so, when you get to the top, you run round the tower, there's normally loads of people up at the top. And then the descent.
Tour de France vibes.
It's that sort of thing. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Or Chevin Chase like that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, because it's not too steep, the descent is really, really fast.
Nice.
So you can absolutely leg it down. And so, the record time's under 20 minutes or something.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So it's a good event.
Yeah, and early Easter kind of.
Always Easter Saturday at 3:00.
Okay, is it Easter Saturday this weekend?
It is Easter Saturday, yeah.
I thought it was next weekend, the 16th.
This weekend, yeah.
Oh, I'm going up Snowdon this weekend. That's not a good idea, is it?
There might be one or two other people then.
Oh dear. Oh well.
But yeah, so the date changes every year because it's always Easter Saturday.
Yeah. Well, that in mind, Easter weekend is in late March next year.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right.
And because we need to talk about Chevron, which we've just done.
Yeah.
Took place the last week in March.
Yeah.
I think I have to move it back to sort of somewhere about the 22nd of March this time.
Yeah.
So that could be a big difference maker in terms of weather.
Yeah.
Like it could be the middle of winter next year, or it could be
and that's fine.
A heat wave.
Because the Chevron is my favourite place to run in winter.
Yeah.
So you can run on the Chevron in any conditions. Really.
I wanted to do a quick review of We Need to Talk About Chevron. It is an April race, so it does count as one of these. I know it's already happened, but
there you go.
It's my race, and Indeed. I want to promote it for next year because we've just had a successful year, second year of We Need to Talk About Chevron, and had some lovely conversations with a lot of runners about how they love it and they want it to become more of a staple in the fell running calendar.
There you go.
Yeah, staple in the fell running calendar.
Well, you've done it twice now. How many times do you have to do it for it to become established?
Oh, for me, probably 5. I'd like to get the third one right, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So how did you feel it went as race organiser?
Right, so I've got a bit of a story about that, and you'll know about this.
I do.
I had a bit of a race organiser's nightmare. I had everything planned the day before. I always book the day off work, the day before a fell race, to get all my paperwork in order, to get all my entry lists and everything printed off, and to make sure that all my marshals know exactly what they're doing, or at least they'll meet me at a certain time on race morning, and I can tell them exactly what they need to do.
And nothing can go wrong.
And nothing could possibly go wrong.
No.
And I had 2 bucket drop checkpoints, checkpoints 2 and checkpoint 7. Checkpoint 7 was on Leeds Road, which is quite a busy road, and there's a little lay-by that leads up to a gate which goes onto the Chevin. Not many people use it, and I don't think it's used very often. And
as a lay-by.
As a lay-by. Or
it won't be used as a lay-by very often when you finish this story.
I won't be using it as a lay-by ever again. So there's what do you call it, a gutter?
Yeah, it was like a little ditch, wasn't it?
Drainage ditch.
Drainage gutter, yeah.
A concrete drainage ditch. I reversed straight into it, went over it, and basically trapped my car.
So what time of day was this?
This was at about 6:20 in the morning.
With the race starting
at 11.
Wow.
And I had planned to basically drop a bucket at that gate, then move on to the other points where I would then mark the course. I had a bag of spikes and tape to mark out all my checkpoints.
Yeah.
I had loads of gear in the car, all for registration, all for...
So this was at the start of your sort of course marking kind of undertaking?
All I was planning to do was to put a bucket there and carry on.
Right, okay.
Because I didn't want to carry the bucket around when I was marking.
No.
And then I get the car stuck.
Yeah.
And then I'm frantically trying to get the car out, spin out of control.
Yeah.
Because it's really muddy.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of rain the day before. Perfect day for it.
For the race?
For the race, yeah.
not for getting a car stuck.
Not the day before. And then I had to get I basically had to make a call, which was, okay, I need to go out and, my marshals aren't going to be awake yet.
No.
So I'm going to take all I need to mark the course, minus the spikes and the signs that I can't physically carry.
Yeah.
and I need to go and mark the entire course from this position.
On foot.
So from checkpoint 7 to checkpoint 7, basically.
Yeah, and it's 9 miles.
And it's 9 miles, and I've got 2.5, 3 hours, I think, to do it.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm rushing around the course.
Because your registration opened at 9:30 in the pub.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And I'm also injured.
Yeah.
I've got a strained calf, and I'm not, physio's orders not to run on it.
Don't run, yeah.
So I was kind of walking around the course, marking it.
Sorry to laugh.
Yeah, trying to get everything right.
Yeah.
Putting all my markers down. There's also a park run that takes place at 9 o'clock, so I have to
there was that, wasn't
think about that as well. But I'd spoken to them; they knew it was happening.
Yeah.
So we get to about 9:30. And luckily, Dominique, who was one of my marshals, her and her dad had come out. We spent sort of 5-10 minutes trying to get the car out.
Yeah.
Failed miserably.
Yeah.
So then I said, "Right, Dominique, I need you to take me to registration.
Yeah.
Let's put all the stuff in your car.
Yeah.
And when we get to registration, I'll get out, get all the stuff out of the car, except for these caution runners signs on the road because they really need to go out at the road crossings." And she was kind enough to
saw them,
go. She was kind enough to go back out and put them there, so our road crossings were protected. And then I managed to get to registration for 9:31, which is 1 minute.
Perfect.
One minute after registration is due to open.
Yeah.
And I was there before the first runner.
Yeah.
And I think it was, who's your chap from? Oh, you know him, the guy with the black and white vest.
Yeah, Darren.
Darren Fishwick.
Yeah.
I think it was him who was there first.
Right, that's good.
And I said, "Oh, just hold on a sec. Just give me 2 minutes."
Yeah.
And we got everything open, and I think the race started about 11 minutes late.
Was it that long? I mean, it was a few minutes late, but
which I'm sure the runners probably appreciate. Some would have appreciated longer warm up, less of a rush, I guess.
Yeah.
I did ask you to put some markers out for me towards the beginning of the race, bits I couldn't quite get to.
Yeah.
But
and the irony was that I was actually leading the race for that bit that I'd marked, so it wouldn't have made any difference.
You could have just let him up there like the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you came second, didn't you?
I did come second, yeah. So it was quite a memorable morning for all.
I think it
for
was.
all of us.
I think it was. A message from Angeline about the next race.
Oh, indeed.
I asked her about it,
and she thinks what?
Here we go. So the one we're talking about is Trunts.
Ah, well, okay.
Which is a series of, I think, 5 races or even more, possibly.
That rings a bell, yeah.
It could be 9.
Yeah, it's certainly a series.
Anyway, it starts in April. I think we've missed the first one, but Trunts 2 is on the 17th of April. Angeline describes Trunts as being short, intense mix of ups, downs, quite a lot through wooded areas. You cross a river 3 times. The depth massively changes depending on recent weather, which can be a fun surprise.
Yeah.
Nikki Spinks used to help out sometimes before she moved, and there's a nice pub to go to afterwards.
And this is down in Oxspring, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Near Penistone.
Yeah. It's an after-work jobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Said you need to race quick to get to get a table at the pub.
Wow, that's
and
incentive, isn't it?
There's fun motivational messages written on stones. Usually a few locals out watching and supporting.
Nice.
And there's a juniors race before that, with this before the seniors, which is nice. Is my race report adequate? I think it's pretty adequate.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that's the Trunts on the 17th of April,
and several weeks afterwards.
And
on Mondays.
Have you done Newlands or Teenager?
Well, I haven't, no. But
on the 22nd of April.
I mean, in a way, those are classic races, aren't they? Really, and that area, Northwest Lakes. They get big entries. It speaks for itself. I mean, that is fell running, really, isn't it?
Speaking of Nikki Spinks, actually,
go on.
I was on the Newlands Memorial Fell Race in probably 2019, I think, or 2018.
All right.
And I was sort of not sure where to go. I think it was not Cat Bells, or maybe the one before Cat Bells, Maiden Moor. And Nikki Spinks had just come past me. She'd been doing the Teenager with Altitude.
Okay, thought, that's the longer one, yeah.
And I don't think I knew Nikki Spinks at the time. I thought, right, this person's just come past me.
Right, yeah.
I'll follow them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've raced Nikki Spinks before, but
she's overtaken me a few times.
Yeah, that That was short-lived. Disappeared.
Yeah.
Got smaller. She basically got smaller and smaller and smaller until she disappeared.
Sure, yeah.
Down towards Cat Bells.
Yeah.
And
that's a nice.
And
descent.
I did have to find my own way down after that. Really steep coming down Maidenmore.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And Cat Bells.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think you come down the side of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've not
But
done
I'd say Newlands Memorial. Like I think when I did it, I think I was also. It tends to fall on the weekend before Three Peaks.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was saving my energy.
Yeah.
And I was just enjoying my day out, and I was fairly near the back.
Yeah.
And it was a really enjoyable race. The sun's come out because it's the end of April.
Yeah.
The numbers are huge. Large amount of numbers. I think
Sure,
possibly over 300 runners.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no issues with navigation or anything like that really. Just about your choice of coming down where.
Okay. I think because it's a bit of a horseshoe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like the Newlands horseshoe.
Yeah. But if you're fairly new to fell running, I would give Newlands a go because it's a good race.
Okay.
Not the teenager with altitude. That's ridiculous. I'd love to give that a go, but I'm unfortunately away this year. I'm going to do the Cobbler fell race.
Oh, really? In Scotland?
In Scotland, or the Cobbler Hill race.
Hill race, yeah.
Which I'm giving a go for the first time. My brother might be joining me. He's not a runner, but he wants to give it a go.
Oh, good stuff.
So hopefully we'll.
Have you been up the Cobbler before?
I have, yeah.
Have you been right to the top? Or,
yeah, I've been up and through it. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Through the thread, the needle. The Cobbler's it's like a. Well, it looks like a cobbler's stone, doesn't it? A cobbler's
cobbler's last, isn't it?
A cobbler's last, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty scary if you try and go up around the back and.
It's like pretty impressive for not being a Munro.
Yes.
It's like 30 feet too short to be a Munro. Or something.
Yeah, and I would argue that it's probably harder to climb than some of the Munros around there.
Majority of Munros,
especially that Benin, which is just a hill.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that's another race for the 22nd of April.
All right. Yeah.
So moving to Sunday the 23rd of April, we've got Gisborough Moors.
Okay, that's North Yorkshire Moors, I guess.
Esk Valley Fell Runners, I think, organised that.
I think that was an English Champs race last year.
If it was, it would have been good because I've done it once before. It was the first race. It was the first BL I did.
Does it go up Rosebery Topping?
It does.
Yeah.
It's the second fell race I ever did.
Okay.
The first being Great Whernside.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Do you remember it? What year was that?
Great Whernside or Gisborough Moor? I think it was
Whernside.
2015.
2015.
2015.
Everyone remembers their first fell race.
Yeah. Well, I remember my second fondly because I think I did. Because I think Gisborough Moor was on in September or October that year.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know why they'd moved it to April, but maybe they'd moved it that time to October for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I did those two in quite quick succession, like a week apart, and I don't think I did another fell race until like April or something.
Oh, really? Well, my first fell race was, I think, July or maybe August 1989.
Wow.
Which was the Malham Show fell race. And then I didn't do another one until 2003.
So what's that? 15 years almost.
No, well, yeah, no. That's 16 years
16
or something.
Years.
So.
Another one, Gisborough Moors, is a really good race. It's not particularly taxing on the body, on the feet. It's fairly easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Just busy enough. Busy enough to navigate, really.
Sure, yeah.
And then moving swiftly on, we get to Saturday, the 29th of April.
Well, that will be 3 peaks, and we covered 3 peaks last time.
We did, but we can quickly go on about that again, just quickly.
Entries have now closed, by the way. So
yeah,
you're thinking of doing
4 weeks ahead of the race.
Now.
I'm not sure why they did that.
Have they got enough people? I mean,
they've got over 900 runners.
Wow, goodness me.
Yeah, but it's capped at 1,000, and I don't know if they've ever had 1,000.
Well, let's see how many people run.
Oh, there'll be
900 entries.
There'll be 600. There'll be 600 on the day. There'll be 600 on the day.
Wow! Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we did cover that in the last in the last podcast.
Yeah.
And there's probably going to be plenty of footage about for the 3 peaks, so we can move on because we've got 30 to go on about.
Yeah.
Dick Hudson's.
Okay.
Have you done it?
Well, actually, funnily enough, I haven't. But which is silly because it's on Ilkley Moor and it's not far away from here. But it just always seems to never fall on a day when I'm free. So.
Well, it's on a Thursday this
Is
year.
it because it's a Thursday?
Yeah. So
Right.
May, if you live in Leeds like we do, or Leeds and Bradford, I'm sure wherever you're from, it's probably mad in April and May.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting all these little midweek races pop up, which is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the light evenings, I suppose.
It's great.
And on the 4th of May, we've got Dick Hudson's,
Yeah.
which is Ilkley Moor,
It is.
and it's from one side of Ilkley Moor to the other,
There and back.
and back. So it starts in Darwin Gardens, I
In
think,
Ilkley,
which is Ilkley, and it goes over to Dick Hudson's, which is a pub,
Yeah.
and then you come back, and you
Yeah.
can choose your own adventure, you can choose your own way, but
Yeah.
there is essentially one way.
Yeah, there is. Do you have to touch the pub, or do they not make
No,
you cross
you
that
touch
nasty road?
I
at
think
the
you
end?
touch the gate.
Touch the gate.
You touch the
Okay,
gate, yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I did Dick Hudson's, and I came in the top 20.
Cool.
And there's some banging names on that list.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I think one of the first runners had gone really wrong.
Oh, well, this is what you rely on, you see.
Yeah, probably my best result on,
Yeah.
on a fell race on paper.
Definitely.
You know, but
Yeah.
it was more to do with the
Yeah.
calamity of some others. But I'll
And
take it.
do you get to choose your route down from the top of Ilkley Moor down to Darwin Gardens? You can go whichever way you
Yeah, I
like.
don't think you go from. I'm not sure if you cross Rumbles Moor, True Point, or anything like that. I
No,
think it's
no,
more.
you just go on the
It's
main
more
path.
like the 12 Apostles, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a stone circle
Yeah.
up the top. But it's just, oh man, it's the you feel alive when you're out.
Yeah.
We finish work,
Yeah.
and you probably plan to finish work a little bit early that day, so
Yeah.
you can get home, get
Yeah.
some food, or just go straight there
Yeah.
and change out of your work gear into your fell running kit
Yeah.
and go do a
And because it's
fell
May
race.
and you haven't been able to do that for
Yeah.
months,
Yeah,
they're always like I
Yeah.
think quite special, these early May races.
and you're registered. You're registering out the back of a van,
Yeah.
and it's Ali Burns on the front line, and he goes, right, go to Dick Hudson's and back, right, go.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So much like that, we've got another trance race the following week. I think they're every week, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jack Blorfell race.
Well, in a way, we've sort of talked about it with Dick
Dick
Hudson's.
Hudson's.
It's a very similar feel, and I mean, weirdly, I've never done Dick Hudson's, but I've done Jack Blore a few times, and that's a Tuesday night race.
I've never done Jack Blore.
Well, it's really good.
It looks incredible.
Oh, it's great.
Because last year, me and Jess from my club
Oh yeah.
went up there to watch,
Yeah.
and I was injured at the time.
Oh, we've talked about this last time, I think. Yeah.
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 And they were coming from all directions.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, there must be a way. There must be a good way, but everyone was just going.
I'll give
whatever
you a
way.
little insight, but
Yeah.
on Sunday, after the race, which we were talking about just now,
Okay.
your race, my recovery run was
Right.
to jog round the Jack Blore route.
Okay. To
I
find
say-
some good lines.
I say jog, it was a bit of a walk really, but yeah, just to double check some of those lines, because there are some little shortcuts and things, just not a paths in the heather sort of thing.
I'll tell you what.
So
I'll call it
work
now.
really
If I'm fit to race it,
Yeah,
I will bring my camera along and
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
film it because
That'd be
it
great.
should be hilarious.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
do, yeah.
and what happens when I'm running with my camera? Like it does slow me down a little bit. So
Right.
I'm usually with a different group of people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I'll try and either follow those people and see
Yeah.
what they're doing, where they're going,
Yeah.
or try and see where people are coming from.
Yeah,
And I think that could make
that
quite a
could be
fun
good.
video.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm injured still,
Just do well, as we were saying.
I'll just do what
earlier,
we said. We'll go
walk
and
up
watch.
through the route.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right, 13th of May, Fairfield Horseshoe.
Well, another classic lakes race.
Yeah, you've not done it, have you?
Well, I haven't. I've walked I've jogged round the Fairfield.
Yeah,
but
you've
I've
been
not
around
done the
there.
race.
But this is another one from Angeline,
All right.
who messaged me some information about Fairfield. Although she has been messaging me all day. So I'm going to have to scroll back. Come on, where are you?
She's certainly earned her piece of flapjack that we bought round.
Yeah, definitely. Here we go. Oh, wow. Right, here we go. Fairfield Horseshoe, an absolute classic. A sudden steep climb out of Rydal. Is it Rydal? Rydal, which earns some great views over Grasmere and Grisdale Tarn. If you've got time to stop and look.
Sure.
Pretty sure Joss Naylor said, if you're enjoying the views, you're not running hard enough. The top of Fairfield has a really tricksy turn back, which can make feel like you're heading in the wrong direction. Unlikely to get lost on race day though, as it's so busy. Really fun, almost fully downhill return.
Yeah.
Shoes for rock grip advisable. Stick to the left on the wall most of the way down and should be impossible to get lost. And then you can have a nice amble down into Ambleside for a post-race pint.
Very good.
No cakes provided.
Oh no.
So that might have thrown a lot of people off. However, that has now sold out. So everyone who's doing that is everyone who's done that is doing it. Yeah. So that's why they don't have to worry about the cakes. They don't have to entice people with cake.
Well, maybe in Ambleside there are enough cake related outlets that you're not going to miss out, are you?
Is it a championship race this year? Is that why it's sold out? Or is it just a very popular race?
It is a very popular race.
It does baffle me how some races, you'll go to a race and there'll be less than 100 runners, and then you go to another race and there's a waiting list.
I mean, when they become champs races, there are some champs races where you get 400 people running, and then the year later when
it's no longer a champs
like 50 people, but I don't know, I don't really go for the champ stuff. I know some people do, but I quite like the small races, so generally I don't sort of target the championships.
I wonder if that will lead into the next one then.
Here we go.
Here we go. On the 20th of May, Mount Famine.
Well, is that a champs race? I don't know.
I don't know anything about this. This has been
highlighted
pink.
I highlighted it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it once, and that is over in Hayfield, just at the side of Kinder.
Yeah.
So it's not part of Kinder itself.
Big fan of Hayfield. It's nice.
Yeah. No, it is really nice. I mean, if you, I think, if you worked in Manchester, I think Hayfield would be a very nice place to live.
Yeah.
Because you can get into the city, but you can also get onto the fells so easily. What I particularly remember about doing Mount Famine is that the start line was along a track, and it was unclear on the day I did it whether you were going to go one way along the track or the other. And then on the start line, the race organiser said, right, turn 90 degrees, and there was this enormously steep slope. And he said, right, you're just going straight up there. So the first 2 minutes of the race was literally hanging onto vegetation, trying to sort of scramble up this very, very steep bank. And the other thing I particularly remember about it is because you go up to the top of Mount Famine, and then most of the way down, and then they send you back up again.
Nice.
Almost to the top, and then you do the big descents, which I hadn't twigged, so I kind of left it all up on there.
Oh no!
And then so that second climb was quite hard.
So I think it's why I enjoy doing fell races for the second time usually.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's coming. I mean, like your race on Saturday. If you didn't know what was coming, you know,
maybe it's not quite designed for that, is it?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, like you do 2 big climbs in the first couple of miles.
Yeah.
It
must be 200 metres in the first 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it. Yeah. In fact, most of the climbing on your race the other day was in the first quarter of the race.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's kind of unusual.
Just to add, we've missed the Old County Tops.
Oh right, that's serious.
Which is on the 20th of May.
Wow, yeah.
I haven't done it. You haven't done it.
Well, it's pairs.
Yeah.
And the 3 Old County Tops of Westmoreland, Cumberland, and Lancashire.
They're all madly far apart.
Helvellyn, Scafell Pike, and the Old Man of Coniston.
Yeah.
So it's a big triangle, and it takes hours.
Yeah. I'd love to do it if it was to fall on the right weekend for me.
Yeah.
It's been on my radar.
Yeah.
I'd like to. In fact, I'd quite like to do it with Angeline.
Yeah. I think it's quite a. I think me and John from our club were sort of thinking of doing it a few years ago, but it's such a big thing. I kind of think it'd be better later in the year.
You need to train for it, don't you?
Like a summer of running behind you.
Yeah, maybe.
These early season stuff, it's like...
Not quite ready.
It's quite good if you've been on the winter training camp somewhere.
Yeah. If you've been in Kenya.
Exactly.
Or, what's it called? The Canaries.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I mean, all Martin said here, Martin from my club has said, his review is, the Old County Tops can make you.
Yeah.
So that's all he said about that.
Yeah.
Have you done the Calderdale Way relay?
I have, but many years ago when it was done in December.
Oh wow, very different.
Very different, and in fact it became, because it's in places relatively serious, Calderdale Relay. They chose to make it a May thing rather than a December thing. I mean, in particular, I did the final leg with my club mate Steve, and it got dark.
Of course,
it was like late in the afternoon in December, so they had a 2 o'clock cut-off for that final leg.
And it was still getting dark.
It was still getting dark, yeah, when we came in. So they made it a summery thing, and that's probably more sensible, really. But again, it's one of those epic kind of like feats of logistics.
Yeah, of course, it's hard work.
Yeah.
That's on the 21st of May.
Okay. Halifax Harriers organised.
Halifax Harriers, yeah. So if you're in any sort of fell club or even a club that dabbles with off-road running, you'll probably have a club captain who's been hassling you for weeks and months to get involved.
So what's the...
It must be the number one reason for for men's captains and women's captains to be stepping down from their posts once a year, because it's...
Yeah. I mean, I organised our club's involvement in the British Fell Relays last year.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt one relay a year is enough. Because you're taking quite a lot on.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the same weekend, 21st of May, Glaramara.
Yeah. At the end of Borrowdale. I just wanted to highlight that one because when I lived in Borrowdale a few years ago, that was almost the race from the doorstep. And it is we thought it was a real classic. And
where's it go?
So, do you know the Glaramara Centre, which is near Seatoller, at the end of Borrowdale? So, do you know where the road goes off to Seathwaite, just before you start going up Honister?
I don't think I've been between Borrowdale and Honister.
Okay, all right. So anyway, there's an old. It's almost like a youth hostel, but it's now a kind of mountain centre.
Okay.
Residential mountain centre called the Glaramara Centre.
Right.
So that's at the bottom. You run across the fields, then you go up this kind of very kind of rough hillside, which is normally out of bounds, but they just open it up for the race. That takes you sort of onto the shoulder of Glaramara. Then you kind of climb up the main path to the top, including a very steep rocky scramble right to the summit, which is really exciting. Then when you get to the top, it's anyway but back, and you kind of loop round the rocky bit, and then it's like, which is the best kind of route down is really what it's all about. And we must have recce'd that descent about half a dozen times before race day, trying to pick the best line. Very fast, really cool to do, and then you rejoin the way up, which was through the very rough woods, and that's real ankle twister territory. You've got to be really careful on that descent because it's real stick or twist stuff, and then a short kind of like dash across the fields to the end. So it's it's one of these. It's a Borrowdale Fell Runners race, which means you might pay £1 to enter, or possibly free.
Yeah.
So it's like classic kind of like...
So a lot of nostalgia towards that one. Have you done the race itself?
So I did the race, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I did the race the day after supporting somebody on a Bob Graham round, so I was absolutely knackered.
Oh, wow.
And then, because I was working at the youth hostel in Borrowdale at the time, finished just in time to then go and do a full evening shift.
Oh,
so that was a weekend of my life.
Wow.
But yeah, great race, great memories.
The following week we've got Blackstone Edge.
Okay.
Which has won a place in my heart.
Oh really? Tell us why.
Because it was the 2021 Blackstone Edge race. It was the first race I did back from COVID.
Cool, yeah.
And it must have been the weekend Boris gave us the all clear to go outside, basically.
Straight on.
And we're straight on with it.
Yeah.
And all I remember is there's a bit of mask wearing and stuff, but everything was done outside and all that sort of...
Yeah.
There might have been some kind of staggered start of some kind,
or
socially distanced start.
Yeah, I did one of those.
I think they just got us to stand apart, or they'd drawn a grid on the ground or something.
Yeah, I did one where...
And that was it.
We were spaced 5 metres apart.
That was it, yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it was just so nice to be back.
Oh, yeah.
And running
straight
up Blackstone Edge from a little village below. Yeah. I can't remember the name. I can't think of the name of the village, but it's... You come at it from...
Is it Greenfield? No.
Potentially. Well, I mainly know Blackstone Edge.
Oh, sorry, not Black. So Blackstone Edge so it starts in Littlebridge, is it? Or Is it
We'll
north
have
of
to
the M62?
It would
Yeah.
be
Probably
north.
Littleborough then.
And you'd Littleborough.
Yeah.
Sorry, Littleborough. Yeah. And you'd usually be coming from. I usually come from the Saddleworth direction.
Yeah.
Along the Pennine Way.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But it doesn't really touch that Pennine Way at all. You run across it slightly, but you go up through the rocks.
Yeah.
Up through the rocks and then back up to the trig point and then back down through the rocks.
Sure, yeah.
So it's the field. If you're at the trig point and you're looking at Manchester,
Yeah.
it's directly in front of you.
Yeah.
All the way down.
All
Really
the way
short
down.
race.
Yeah.
And there was a few. It's that really long grass, that sort of reedy grass.
Sort of marrow grass.
Yeah. And there's the odd bog, and
Yeah.
you'll put one foot wrong and you're up to your waist.
That's it, yeah.
And it's your first race back from COVID, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I remember this.
This is it.
I remember fell running.
And is it organised by Kevin Shand and his famous toilet roll prizes?
It is actually Kevin Shand. Is he? I don't know why I remember that name.
Yeah, well, he used to be a good runner back in the day, and he's most famous now for organising races in that part of the world. And,
Okay,
your prizes are different forms of toilet roll.
Right, nice. Different quality depending on
I
where
think
you
so, yeah.
You get like Charmin for first place.
Indeed, yeah.
What's the club?
I don't think he does it connected to a club. I think he does it on his own back.
Yeah.
Maybe Rochdale, I don't know.
I was going to say it's probably Rochdale territory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. Fill us in.
Saturday, the 27th of May. Okay, so this one's from Helen, and appropriately, it's Helvellyn and the Dodds. So she writes, my first and likely last race, I beat Dan. Dan's her boyfriend, partner, post 3 Peaks fitness streak. I like long out and backs like Helvellyn and the Dodds, as you can see where you're placed as everyone runs back past you. And you can see your fellow club runners for a wave and a hooray. The views to the west were stunning, and I enjoyed looking down onto the eastern slopes towards Patterdale, which is an area I'm trying to become more familiar with. Topography-wise, the first climb is a wanking bastard arsehole of a climb. I think that's also known as Clough Head. But then it's undulating, and the final descent is whiz, bang, pop, kapow, and drives you through for a stellar finish line. I wept at my win against Dan, and then inhaled 4 cakes and as many 2-dimensional sandwiches.
Yeah. So it's like you get up to the top of Clough Head.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of a ridge run to
Yeah.
Helvellyn and back, and so it's a big climb, a long ridge run.
You'd almost be high-fiving each other on the way back.
You might be, yeah.
It's an AL, which definitely makes sense.
Is it an AL?
Yeah.
Really?
I can't imagine coming down Clough Head.
No, it's not an AL.
It's listed
Must
as
be
an AL.
AM, sure.
Listed as an AL.
Okay.
But the way I've only been up Clough Head,
Yeah.
and I can imagine coming down it to be pretty intense.
Yeah, sure.
And on the same day, a BM near Kirkby Lonsdale, Hutton Roof Crags.
Right, do you know about the race this year?
No.
Hutton Roof Crags. So yes, it's being run in the memory of Darren Kay, who a distinguished runner who sadly disappeared before Christmas. Now Darren's got the course record for Hutton Roof Crags.
Oh wow!
And has won it many times. So this year they're running it in his memory, and I think they're creating a new trophy in his name.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So Hutton Roof Crags might be one to go for this
Definitely.
year.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Okay.
But I did it in October.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was in 2021.
All right.
So
but everything was switched.
Yeah, it switched everything around.
Yeah.
It's a Hutton Roof. You'll see it on. It's on your left just before you join the M6.
That's right. Yeah.
The M6 on the A65.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's quite impressive to look at.
Yeah.
Less impressive when you're at the top of it, looking down at the M6 and A65.
Yeah.
But it's a nice part of the world.
Can you see the lakes clearly from the top of it?
Maybe I've never been there on a clear enough day.
Okay.
All I noticed was the motorway.
Yeah. All right.
But it's a nice little village where it starts. In fact, there was good cake.
Is it Farlton where it starts?
I thought it was the town of Hutton Roof.
Oh, wow.
Or the village.
There you go, might be.
Yeah.
Okay, but certainly encourage people to support that race this year.
Yeah, definitely. So, definitely one to hit up if you're not doing Helvellyn and the Dodds. Or if you're at the Isle of Jura.
Oh, wow. Well, how about that, eh?
It's a weekend. Big
That's
month.
a monster, that is. That's a monster journey and a monster race.
Yeah, I'd like to do it one day, but I'm not quite.
Have you ever been to Jura?
No,
because I have, and it's worth the trip. It's a pretty awesome kind of island, really.
So we're talking about some of these really tough races. How about not an easy one, but one that's suitable for trail runners and beginners?
Yeah.
Ilkley Trail.
Okay.
It's a CM race.
Oh wow, that's CM.
It goes from Ilkley Lido.
Okay.
Up to Beamsley Beacon.
Oh, is it on that side? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fairly long-ish race.
Yeah.
But loads of people do it. It's on a bank holiday Monday, the 29th of May.
Oh wow.
And it's. I did it when I was back at Kirkstall Harriers, and there was loads of people from our club doing it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think of it as a fell race as such. It's more like a nice long sort of trail race.
Nice, yeah.
And
is the Lido open, so you can go and have a dip afterwards?
I think it was, but I don't think it was the warmest day.
Not quite the warmest time of year. Yeah, it can be quite lively in there.
Yeah.
I mean, quite bracing.
If you like, I mean, I know a lot of people are really getting into wild swimming at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's as good as wild swimming.
Yeah.
In Ilkley Lido in May.
Yeah.
And the next one you're going to tell me about on the same day, Monday 29th of May, Bamford Sheepdog Trials.
Oh yeah, I did that a couple of times actually. So Bamford, that's in the Peak District near Castleton, and that's up Wyn Hill from the valley bottom, and it's a nice village show with the sheepdog trials. And,
I do like a village show.
Absolutely, that's like one of the early sort of village show kind of races in the summer, and straight up Wyn Hill, up the steep way, and then a nice, very fast descent back down. And I particularly remember it from one year where it was really hot when we set off, and like the hard lads were like, race number on the shorts and no vest sort of thing.
Oh right, yeah.
And off we went, running up.
Envy the day.
And when we got to the top, this massive hailstorm came over and absolutely battered us. When you're coming down, you've got marks all over your kind of your face and stuff. So it was amazing just how conditions changed just in minutes doing that one. No, it's a good event to do.
Amazing. We're on to the first weekend of June now. So this is
June,
the last
is
month
great.
that we're covering from this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
The first one, Dudden Valley, which is a pair. You got short and long. I've got. Have you done it?
No, but go on.
I've got a message from Dom from my club.
Go on then, Dom.
So Dudden is a great weekend away. The club did it in 2015 when it was a champs race, and again in 2016 for Mike, who's one of our club. In fact, he's the chairman.
Yeah.
It's his 60th. The finish field is next to the pub, and there is a live band. Here we go. We're going on about post-race now.
Yeah.
There's a live band on in the evening.
Okay.
There is Dudden Long and 18 miles and 6,000 feet of climb,
6,000.
which I'm slowly trying to figure out is about 2,000 metres.
Not quite 2,000 metres.
Just under 2,000 metres. And a short one at 9 miles and 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
We all stayed at the Turner Hall campsite next to the pub, and Mike had caterers in. Who did a fantastic barbecue. That sounds like a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Many of the races came across and fabulous evenings until 8:15 when the midges showed up.
Oh, yeah. That's June.
They knew there was a barbecue on.
Yeah.
And we fled to the pub. The race is tough but doable with navigation skills needed if it's not clear weather. Of the climbs, the ironically named Little Stand is anything but little, and the final descent from Core is fast and furious. So thanks, Dom.
Yeah, and I think it's got a bit of a reputation for being a navigational challenge, because if the mist is down, then you can end up literally anywhere.
Remind me where Dudden Valley is.
So it's South Lakes, but you're sort of heading up on the sort of southwest side. So you drive
Coniston-ish area?
No, ish, yeah, but further across.
So closer into sort of Langdale there.
No. If you're going more round past Ulverston, South Lakes, heading towards the far kind of bottom left-hand corner.
Oh, right, okay.
Take
the ring road.
Take a right up Broughton in Furness, I think it is, and that's the Dudden Valley, and it's a really sort of spectacular and quiet corner of the lake.
So you get the views of the sea.
And the views of the sea as well.
Yeah, and Morecambe or Blackpool and
you can do on a good day, yeah absolutely. So, it's not like the busiest part of the lakes, but it's quite a tricky place to get to. So,
and maybe if you're not up for this one, you could give Pen y Ghent a go.
Pen y Ghent, yeah, which is a sort of... what's intriguing about Pen-y-Ghent is that you come down a very different way to what you normally do. So the way up from Horton is the conventional way.
Yeah.
Not the Three Peaks way, but the way. That
I really enjoyed it when I did it because it was nothing to what I was expecting. The first quarter of the Three Peaks race.
That's right. And it goes up from Bracken Bottom.
Nothing like it.
And then you do the scramble up to the top.
Yeah.
But then the descent, it sort of tracks the main path, but it's off to the side.
Yeah.
And it's just a fast descent down a little thin trod.
Yeah.
So it was like an unorthodox kind of.
Yeah,
way
like
back
lots
down
of
to
long grass.
Yeah.
And just you can't. It's kind of off to the. It's longer than you expect it to be.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I think there was a little extra climb at the end.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think.
Yeah.
It's a lovely area. It's the first weekend of June. It'll be hot, hopefully. Once again, cake.
Yes.
Again, very good. I remember.
Yeah. I think there's a little show at Horton, which it's connected
Potentially,
to.
it may not have been on the day I went a couple of years ago.
Right.
It's strange going back to there because I'm used to going to Three Peaks quite a lot.
Right.
And you turn up for Pen-y-Ghent and you're just going to the cricket hut.
Yeah.
Which is just next to where the field is, and I didn't even notice there.
Yeah.
For the Three Peaks race.
No, that's right. The Three Peaks is like an event, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, whereas this is very much a fell race with the little.
Yeah, that's right.
Little, you can park where you like in the field.
No, that's weird,
There's no one telling you where to go.
Yeah.
And then on the Sunday we've got the Bofra race, Kettlewell.
Right, so the Bofra series.
And I've done this too.
Have you?
Yeah.
So where does that one go? Because I've not done that one.
It goes from the field where you would do the Kettlewell anniversary.
That bottom field.
So that bottom field, but you'd literally just go straight up.
Yeah. You
hit a pile of stones at the top and you come straight back along over some scree.
Okay.
And I never thought there'd be scree at Kettlewell, but there is.
Right.
It's a tiny little patch and we went straight over it.
Okay.
And it's just marked out by cones and it's about... It can't be 2 miles.
Right, no.
It's about 1.8 miles or something.
I mean, yeah.
So
Bofra races generally are short,
yeah,
sharp and technical.
Yeah, they're killers. Like it's like sprinting.
Yeah. But it's a great series, and I do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And one year, I'm hoping to be able to do 8, and therefore qualify for the championships.
That'd be good.
I only ever normally manage to do 4 or 5 in any year.
I've only ever done 1.
Oh, you've only ever done 1.
That's the only one.
Oh, you get better at them as you do more. But,
I bet you do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really support the Bofra scene. I think it's great. Low key fell running.
This is a funny one because I'd never known this to be midweek race, but Wednesday the 7th of June, Blencathra.
All right. Yeah.
Is that normal?
I think so. Yeah, but it goes from Mungrisdale.
Yeah.
Which is
I've done it once before, and I swear it was a Sunday or a Saturday.
Might have been a champs race one year, so they might have switched it. Maybe only a couple of years ago.
There's a video of that on my YouTube channel.
Yes, that rings a bell.
And I was probably in the bottom 10 people.
Right.
Got very, very lost.
That's the problem with running a championship race.
Oh, yeah. It was a championship race.
It's a massive leveller, isn't it? It's like, this is where I really am.
This is where I really deserve to be. But there was a fog. There was a lot of fog that time. Yeah. So we didn't see much, really.
You don't want to get lost on top of Blencathra. That's like...
yeah.
I did it once. And,
well, I found the top eventually.
Okay, well done. Yeah. So that was a navigational challenge, was it?
Yeah, well, it was... I mean, I spent a lot of time just standing looking at a map with some other guys pretending to...
Oh, right. You weren't alone.
Pretending to have an input.
You weren't alone then?
No. There's a video on my YouTube channel of Blencathra. You should definitely have a look at it because it's...
Oh, you videoed all this?
This is on YouTube. This is all... It's because... And I was apprehensive to do it because obviously it was such a fail, personal fail.
Oh no!
I don't think I uploaded it until the next year.
Okay.
Because I couldn't face looking at the footage, but it's actually really funny.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good fun.
I think with fell running you have to accept sometimes. That competitively, you might not. This race might not be for you, and therefore the key is actually just to get down safely. And if you do that, then you've succeeded.
And it was in 2021, so it was when they set the women off 15 minutes early.
Did they? Right, okay.
And usually with that, you would think to catch some of them. We caught none of them.
Really? Yeah.
So we didn't see any women during the race at all.
Wow, there you go.
We've got the 7th of June now.
Okay.
Otley Shevin.
There we go. Similar to where we were on Saturday. Straight up, straight down.
Straight up, straight down.
Yeah.
Bish, bash, bosh.
Yeah. No, it's nice. Yeah.
Really good race. Another one where you can just get home from work and do it. Oh, it's on the same day as Kildwick this year.
Okay.
is it Killed at Gala? It wouldn't be Killed at Gala because it's a Wednesday, but Kildwick is another very up and down fell race.
Is it right?
Very
Kildwick,
nice.
that's just on past Keighley, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's just beyond Keighley
Okay.
on the road that goes out. I can't think of the road now. It's not the A65, is
Main
it?
Road, yeah. 650, I think. Have you done that one?
Yes.
Kildwick. Oh right. So
I
where does it go up?
I'll tell you when I did it in 2018.
Yeah.
So this is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I did it the Wednesday after I did Ultra Trail Snowdonia
Well done,
on the Saturday.
yeah.
So
That was your recovery run.
I'd spent 20 hours in Snowdonia,
yeah.
and then on the Wednesday gone out and done Kildwick.
Yeah.
Wasn't comfortable.
No. Where does it go up to?
It goes up
River
to
Edge or something like that?
it just kind of goes up to a trig point and back again. It's about 6k
Okay.
total.
I'll have a look at the map and see if I can work it out.
It's a nice one.
Yeah. So that's Kettlewell Anniversary. It's organised by North Leeds Fell Runners, isn't it?
Yeah. So Kettlewell anniversary this year is on Thursday, the 8th of June. It's always the first Thursday.
The first Thursday?
Yeah.
Well, that would make that the first Thursday of June would be the first, wouldn't it?
Presumably, if it's the 8th, yeah. So, oh yeah, of course. Well, yeah.
The first
early
second
June,
Thursday.
early June.
Yeah.
Which is usually the day after Chevin.
Okay.
But the Chevin's a warm up. It's tiny.
That's right. I remember doing it on successive days once.
Yeah. So similar to the Bofra to start, you go straight up the top.
Through that little gully up through the limestone.
That's it, and then you go over
almost as far as Armcliffe, yeah.
And almost to Armcliffe, and you sort of turn around and go up towards. Is it Button Pine?
You contour.
That's
and
it.
then you start heading back on the path that goes to Starbottom. But then you dive back down to the start.
You've probably run it more than me because I'm
Yeah.
part of the organisers.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So I was required to be involved in that.
The climb up, because you go up, down, and the second up is a good old long drag. It really is. You think this is never going to end.
Fairly runnable though.
It is very runnable, yeah.
I've only done it once because all the other times I've been with the club, as part of the club and doing the starting thing. And like we said earlier with some of the other races in 2021, we did this silly grid starting thing with waves. And
I remember that,
weirdly complicated.
Yeah,
I think we'd put you in the last wave or something. Is that right? Did you?
I'm not going to say anything.
Did we accidentally put you in the fifth wave? You would have had a nice time though.
I was in the second wave.
Second wave, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think he kicked up a fuss.
I don't think I kicked up a fuss at all. I think I just made a comment. That's not quite the same thing.
I think
but actually, if you looked at the results, I think it was fair. So.
It was a funny one because what we did was basically looked at. We had 5 waves.
Yeah.
And we had. You know, if you recognise the name, Joe Baxter. Okay, well we know he's fast, so we'll put him in wave 1. Yeah. And there would have been plenty of fast people who could have been wave 1. We didn't know who they were.
No, sure,
So they might have been in 2 or 3. Yeah. And we kind of vetted it slightly, but then it was basically like 50% random.
Yeah. It didn't.
And
back then it
potluck.
It didn't matter.
No one cared because everyone was so happy about being back running.
Yeah. We're not that competitive, fell runners, I don't.
No. You get the odd dickhead, don't you?
I mean, you know, we're talking about how important the cake is.
We are. I do catch myself being a dickhead every now and then, like in my own head.
Indeed.
You know, right, I'm gonna go get him. But then you loosen up straight away.
You do.
And then let's fast forward to the 15th of June. By the way, there are other races.
Other races are available.
There are hundreds on this list, but we've highlighted about 30 to go over because we couldn't possibly. And we did find ourselves talking about races we didn't know about in the last podcast. So we're only going to talk about the ones we know things about. This is just a selection. Yeah. So what can you tell me about Beamsley Beacon on the 15th?
Well, I can tell you something about Beamsley Beacon from last night if you're interested.
Oh, you were up there last night?
Well, I was with North Leeds Fell Runners.
Oh, yeah.
And interestingly, just before we were due to set off, we looked up at the top of Beamsley Beacon to find that it was a raging inferno.
Oh, it was actually fire.
It was a fire, a genuine fire.
Okay.
And they were burning the heather on top, and it looked like a volcano erupting.
Oh, wow.
And so for a minute we kind of thought, are we actually going to go running up there? But by the time we set off, which was about 7:10, you could see that it was dying down. We ran up there and got to the top, and the acrid smell of smoke was really noticeable. And then we ran.
That's a fire. It's a preserving thing, isn't it?
Well, it was it's a a managed fire
Yeah.
for the purposes of grouse shooting. But we then ran across the scorched area, and when I got home last night, I noticed that my fell running shoes, which are red, they'd melted. The colour had just sort of melted off them, and I think
Had you run through the heather?
We had run through what was still a warm ground.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, because it had only been put out half an hour or so earlier.
Oh right.
And there's a photo actually. It's pretty black underfoot.
I haven't seen the photos at all yet.
And it's kind of melted the shoes, the colour off my shoes.
Oh, I'll try and get up there this weekend if I'm free.
So the race, which is another nice low key midweek race, starts by the church in Addingham.
Yeah.
You run up the road, cross the little suspension bridge over the river, which we all ran over last night and made it bounce, which is quite exciting.
It's weird. It feels strange running over that bridge.
It does, yeah.
It's almost like when you're on a trampoline.
It is
with
like
a
a
friend.
trampoline. We called it the Addingham trampoline.
Yeah.
So then you run up through the fields, and then you hit them all up to the top. So you don't go up the main track of Beamsey Beacon. You go round the side.
Yeah.
And then you come down the main track, down a bit of road, and then you've got this sort of like horrible gully to run down. I don't know if you've been.
Which is overgrown most of the time.
Which is often overgrown, although they do sometimes trim it for the race.
I wish they would.
But
They didn't last year.
Yeah, but you've really got to watch your step down there. But because it's quite fast, but you can't overtake because it's so thin. But it's almost like in a sunken path.
So last year, I've just remembered.
Go
on. Was it last year or the year before? I'd done Beamsley Beacon.
Yeah.
Firstly, it was a heat wave.
Yes.
We were in a heat wave.
Yeah.
Secondly,
often is.
I had my second COVID vaccine that morning.
God, yeah.
So, it wasn't my best performance.
No. All right, yeah.
I hope to be uninjured, not in a heat wave, and well.
Yes.
This year for that.
But a recurring theme of this chat we've had is nice, low key, warm midweek, straight after work races.
They're the best.
Very nice.
I really enjoy them.
Indeed.
If I was retired, that's all I would be doing. Would be fell races, and that time of year, I'd easily get 20 in a month.
Shall we just say we mentioned him earlier, but Darren Fishwick from Chorley came and did your race on Saturday.
Yeah,
and he told me it was his 555th different fell race.
Different fell race.
Yeah. Now, obviously, he's done. Of
those
555,
we're going to have to speak to him
several times.
Yeah,
he's done them more than once, so he could well be up over 1,000 fell races in total. But he's done over 500 different ones, which is just awesome. So I think we should pay tribute to Darren.
Well, Darren, if you're listening, you should come on this podcast.
Yeah, obviously, we are.
Where is he? Chorley. I'll come to Chorley.
Shall we go to Chorley?
Yeah,
and see if we can collar him.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we could probably just find him at a fell race.
Buy him tea and cake and a beer.
Yeah. No, we'll do that. All
right, bring this recording device.
Yeah, I'll take. I should actually take this with me when I go places because I can speak to people.
There you go.
At finish lines.
Ad hoc podcast.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you done Howtown?
No.
On the 18th of June is Howtown, which takes place near Pooley Bridge.
Pooley Bridge. Yeah.
And you go up to the really sort of the northeastern fells.
Yeah.
Which are nice and quiet.
I just don't know them at all.
Yeah, they're really nice. I can only think of the name of one of them, which is called High Spy.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Or High Raise. There's a High Raise there.
Another High Raise.
Sorry, there's a High Raise there as well.
All right.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think there's 3 High Raises.
I just don't know that corner of the lakes at all.
But it's just it's very quiet.
Yeah.
Lots of old buildings around.
Okay.
I think it was quite busy before the war.
Right.
There's a lot of mining going down there, or some sort of
a
lot of workers living there.
Yeah.
At the time, and it's just a beautiful, quiet part of the Lake District. Yeah, which is funny because it's actually, if you come in from Penrith,
it's right.
It's closer,
motorway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does everyone just drive straight past and go?
They drive past to Keswick.
Go to Keswick or.
But it's Oldswater. It's closest to Oldswater.
Oldswater's really awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful lake.
Are we out of June yet? How many we got left here?
I don't think we should go past the end of June.
No, we're not going past the June. We're gonna wait for June until we go beyond that.
Yeah.
Buttermere Horseshoe.
Well, Buttermere Horseshoe. Eh?
I've not done it actually. Have you?
I entered it last year and then had COVID and had to duck out.
It's the.
So I scoped it out in my head.
Yeah.
There's a long and a short version.
It's the Lakeland Classic that's evaded me so far.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
it's a big old route.
So I can't really say anything about it. So if you've done that one, please let us know.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a proper fell race.
Yeah. I've got to go back in time a bit because I've missed one of your ones here.
Oh, just to mention on Buttermere Horseshoe, that's the same weekend as our sort of informal Bob Graham attempts at the relay. So.
Oh, nice.
I won't be doing.
I'll be in Scotland.
Oh, you're going to Scotland, are you?
Yeah. I'm attempting the Arrochar Alps race.
Now, how does that differ from the cobbler race then?
Well, first of all, it's 27k with almost 3,000 metres of elevation.
All right.
4 Munros.
4 Munros.
4 Munros.
Jeez, so
although some of them you're going down to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
Or you're not going.
You're not just going down.
You don't go back to ground level, but like you've got to go up to the first one, which is Ben Vorlock.
Yeah.
And then down to a dam and cross a dam.
Okay.
And then you go up to Ben Vane.
Yeah.
And I think that Ben Vorlock down to Ben Vane part is going to be very tricky because it's off piste.
Oh, is it? Okay.
You're going down a heathery slope and it looks terrifying.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I'm worried about is that it's not very popular.
Okay.
So
there's just not enough other folk around.
Yeah.
Self-reliant.
Imagine doing a 27k fell race with 4 Munros with about 80 people max, or 100 people max.
Yeah.
There's going to be. If I'm going to have to navigate anywhere, it's going to be me.
You're not going to be following people.
I'll have to follow someone, but if I lose them, I'm on my own.
Yeah. All right, good luck.
So I'm a bit worried about that one, but it's.
You're going to have time to go and have a look at it when you go up to do.
I've done them separately. I don't have time to recce.
No.
Oh well, I am up for the cobbler, so maybe
you've got fine time.
I might try and recce the Vorlock to Ben Vane section.
Just that difficult section.
Yeah, because the rest of it. Coming off Ben Vane to go to Ben Eam, I think is fairly simple because it's quite open.
Yeah.
And then Ben Eam to Ben Narnan again is.
Well, that's not a bad idea. If
the bit I'm worried about is the descent of Ben Vorlock up to.
Okay. Well, I reckon
to Ben Vane.
So
maybe I'll give that a go. Yeah.
Yeah. Just clear your mind.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to go back in time to talk about Langstrath.
Oh, all right. Let's touch on Langstrath. So that's. Langstrath is just off the end of Borrowdale, so again it's one of those that I know quite well. Done it a few times, and so you start at in Stonethwaite. Do you know Stonethwaite? It's a little village at the end of just off the end of Borrowdale, and then it doesn't go up really high, but you do a big old climb up something called Lingy End to start with, and then you dive down to Wottemleth, and then down the main track and round again. So it's kind of like a bit of a roller coaster race, and it's very fast. And I remember being eaten alive by the midges at the end of that one, because that's almost always like done at the same time as the longest day. So it's got a real midsummer feel to it.
Well, 21st,
21st is it, yeah. And that was my first race back after lockdown, when we all started in a sort of like an F1 grid, you know.
Yeah. It was a good feeling, though, wasn't it?
I think we had to submit our previous race times, and then on the basis of that, they formed a grid, and there was like about 100 of us spread out over about a quarter of a mile.
How did they mark it out?
How did they mark it out? I can't remember. Maybe they did flag that first climb, because there is like a sneaky route through the bogs up on top, which is a little bit quicker, but I think you kind of have to know your way. So, but yeah, I mean, it was like one of those where, because I was living just round the corner, we were able to go and recce it and just find the right lines, which is always nice to do.
It's a bit like Kettlewell Anniversary, where we had to do grids as well.
Okay.
And wave starts.
Oh yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So let's move on to the next one on Saturday the 24th of June.
Okay.
James Blakely.
Oh right. I did mention that one, because I think that's the lowest of lowest key fell races I've ever done.
Oh really?
And it's quite good fun, really. So that's on the edge of Home Firth, or near Meltham, and it's connected to the Harden Moss Sheepdog Trials, which, when you go there, it's like a throwback to a different age.
Like an episode of Father Ted.
It's and it's quite funny because you're right on top of a hill, and they do some sheepdog trials there every year. and they've got a little grandstand in a random field in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, nice.
And that which is a permanent structure.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just sort of sits there in the middle of this field all year.
It must be rusty.
It's quite rusty, yeah. And then on the sheepdog trials weekend, it kind of like they build a little arena around it and stuff. So actually, Hardin Moss is it's named after James Blakely. I'm not sure who he was, but it's at a place called Hardin Moss, and it's one of the very old fell races. And back in the day, it used to be a completely different route, where you used to run down a very deep ravine, and then back up the other side, clutching onto the vegetation.
Yeah.
And the guy, I knew someone who remembered it from when it was like that. And if it was wet, then the challenge was getting back out of the ravine. Because if it was so wet, you couldn't, and people would literally slide straight back down to the bottom, and then you'd have to have another go and see if you could try and get back up again. And so it was like, although it was a very short race, you know, often it was just a challenge just to complete it. So anyway, it's a more sort of like runnable route these days. So you go round the top of the ravine. But the thing that makes it interesting is because it starts at the top of the hill, the first half of the race is downhill into Meltham, and the second half of the race is the climb back up.
Oh, wow.
So it's all about pacing it, really. It's like a reverse. So I've made the mistake in the past of legging it down to the first half and then having nothing left for the climb coming back. So
I don't think I've ever been in that situation.
No. Well, this is why it's worth doing, just to sort of try that. I've done downhill only races.
That sounds fun.
But to do the downhill only first and then go back up, that's quite unusual.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's such a nice little event. The sheepdog trials, they're great. And one year I remember that the fell race got delayed by quite some time because we were just waiting for the sheepdog, this sheepdog to round up these sheep and put it in a pen, and it just took ages, and we were all on the start line waiting. And eventually, I think the whistle blew and we were off. So it's a nice, it really feels like a real timeless little occasion. And it's just very small and low key, but it's what old school fell running is all about.
Well, there is a pattern here.
Okay.
Because we're on to the last one now.
All right.
And I think the general consensus with May and June is that there's loads of little ones, but there's more of them.
Yeah.
When you get into July and August, there's all the long ones, or
right.
Mainly July. It's where all the big boys are.
Sure. Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, the 28th of June, this is the one I've done before as well. Crag Vale.
Oh right.
I'm sure you've been around there.
I've been around. I've not. Oh wait a minute. I might have done the race years ago.
It's a nice quick one. I think it's about 6 kilometres.
Okay. Crag Vale is just off Calderdale.
Yeah, just off
near Mythenroyd.
Mythenroyd, just up the road, up this little track.
Yeah.
This quiet road.
Does it start at the Hinchcliffe Arms?
It does. It starts at the pub, and you're off up towards the
reservoir first.
Is it the reservoir? You go up, and I don't think you do. You don't go to Stoodley Pike.
No.
But Stoodley Pike is in the background of the photo that I've got of me doing the race.
Yeah. Okay.
So you go up to the that's it. You go up sort of the side of the reservoir.
Yeah.
And through what's similar to Ilkley Moor, where there's a lot of evergreen trees being planted.
Yes. Okay.
Or those woods there.
Yeah.
And then just really runnable.
Yeah.
Really runnable race. Really fast race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice underfoot, soft underfoot.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's Calderdale, but it's summer. I tend to run in winter mainly at Calderdale.
Yes, me too. It's a great place to run in winter, isn't it? It's easier to get to in the winter than it is to get to the lakes. Well, you can do up and downs without getting on really kind of high ground,
Yeah, so I do tend to stay closer to Calderdale in the winter. So it was nice to go there in the summer midweek.
But it's actually nice.
Yeah. And you'd think getting to Crag Vale is actually fairly easy from where I am.
Again, after work, and all that. I know we are lucky to have places like that.
Yeah.
It's literally where we can just 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
On an evening and do a little race.
And actually, me and you have a bit of an advantage over the more Leeds type runners because we are closer to Bradford.
Yeah.
And we can get over to places like Haworth or Calder Valley a bit quicker than other people, and Skipton as well.
Well, speaking of which, I may go and do a bunny run next week.
Oh yeah,
on a Tuesday. Yeah, because that little series started yesterday.
Oh, it's Haworth, isn't it?
Yeah, that's up at Penistone Hill.
Which is another. We've missed that. We've missed the bunny runs, but
I think we mentioned them last time. But again, nice little midweek things.
So that's our list of recommended fell races from us. There are plenty more on the Fell Runner UK website.
We've scratched the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, but we are limited to our own experiences and our geographical location. So if you're coming from around, so if you're up near Northumberland, or if you're down in the Peak District, or even if you're over in Lancashire,
or Dartmoor now,
or even Dartmoor, yeah. If you're still allowed.
Oh no, that's wild camping. I think you're thinking.
Yeah. First of all,
they haven't banned fell
no,
running.
they will. That's what they do. These Tories. It's the boiling the bunny, boiling the frog.
No, right. You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, they're slowly boiling this landscape away from us.
It's
got political.
Podcast has got political.
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry for all the Tory fell runners out there. Anyway,
Both
yeah, that's yeah. That'll do for our list until we'll be back maybe in end of May.
Well, June, yeah.
Sorry, end of June, and we'll go over the races in July and August and September.
The peak of the season, yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
And it'll start change. The landscape will change, and I mean, I reckon it'll be all long ones in the summer.
Yeah, yeah. What have we got? What sorts of things like Borrowdale,
Wasdale, Borrowdale?
Oh,
those monsters.
Absolutely, yeah. And all the nice show fell races as well that you get in July and August. Nice. Looking forward to it.
So, I hope you enjoy that. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, however you see that working, whether on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, it's also a channel, so you can check out some of those references I made earlier. Blaine Cathra. There's even a Howtown video from a few years ago. It's quite an old video. I've got a video of that. And make sure you subscribe to that. There's also a Patreon page where you can support me with my video making, my races. There's perks if you're local. You can do the races for free. It's like a running Netflix for Great Owl Running. So I've quite a few races, and if you join the Patreon, you get to do the races for free. So join that if you're interested.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for inviting me along again.
No problem.
So good to chat about film.
Yeah. I hope to get some more podcasts out soon. I know it's been a bit slow this year so far, but we'll get a few more out, and I hope you enjoy. So see you later.
Yeah, take care.